Starting?
Yo, 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 welcome to another edition of the Geeky Bros podcast. I'm your boy Tactix.
Yo, it's just Darcy here.
And this is Big Geek Umar. How y'all doing today?
Good, man, good.
Welcome back, first off.
I was here last week. What are you talking about?
I'm totally forgetting what these things are.
I thought you were talking to me for a second. I was like, did I go somewhere? But
Yo, as I was saying, I was like, yeah, I'm off, aren't I? I've been in like 2 days of like, and as all of us know who are now working from home a lot, I've been in 2 days of straight conferences. Like I'm just mixed with like meetings happening simultaneously while I'm in a conference. So I'm just totally like, what day is it?
It is Friday.
Yeah.
And we're still going through the election in the South. We won't get into that.
Yo, please, let's not. That.
Yo, I'm just saying the U.S. Postal Service is like the best thing ever.
All of our American brothers are just like, nope.
All right, Umar, what's on the agenda for today?
Well, seeing as how the news, both geeky or otherwise, has been completely overrun with the U.S. election, we do surprisingly have a few things that have been kind of on the backlog of things to talk about. So I'm very happy we have a mild lull to talk about them at last. The first being the Invincible trailer. This is, for those of you who don't know, this is an animated series that's going to be released on Amazon, I think in January or sometime in the new year. And it is going to be basically the adaptation of a limited run comic book series. So it's basically like an animated Boys situation, where the Boys was a comic book series that only went for so long. It's not like an ongoing thing. Invincible is an equally beloved, apparently, comic book series, and they have now released the trailer for the animated series, which I don't know about you guys, but I found hella dope.
Yeah, it looked good. I'm without context, right? I feel like when I saw The Boys, right, like I didn't know about it until there was already a season out. So you got to jump into it and be like, what is this thing? With this, I'm getting the trailer and I'm like, what is this thing? and I don't get the ability to just like dive in and find out. So I'm like, is this? It looks like an adaptation of like both Marvel and DC characters, and just like somebody coming up with like their own version. But am I wrong? Am I right?
No. Well, actually, Tactics, what did you think of the trailer?
First, can I just ask Darcy, what are you looking at?
Yo, bro, I'm like,
he's like talking like this. I'm like,
yo, my camera's a little crooked. I didn't want to adjust it in the middle of this. I'm like trying to get it right. Yo, you out here hating, bro.
No, I was hella distracted, bro. I was like, what is he fucking looking at? Who's he talking to?
So you guys are on the left of my screen, but the camera's blocking the right. So if I put it so I'm looking directly at the camera, then I can't see you guys. Or I can put it above, and then I'm doing this. I'm like, yo, what up, guys? Yo, let me see if I can put it down here in the corner. So I don't know, bro. I can't get it to work.
I love how I just accepted that Darcy wasn't looking at me. It's like, I'm used to him ignoring me.
I was trying to listen to what he was saying, and all of a sudden he was just like this. I was like, what's going on?
Yo, welcome to Geeky podcast. Oh man. I'm gonna try to get this right. I'm gonna try to make it look like I'm looking at you. Thanks for the call out.
No problem, bro. No problem.
Can't see your guys' faces anymore though.
Yeah. So getting back on topic. I really enjoyed it. I agree with you, Darcy. It kind of does have a DC Marvel type of vibe. I also kind of got a little bit of like One Punch Man vibe as well. To a certain extent, it's like it's just very dark and
interesting.
It's very gory, right? So
I know I definitely see what you mean. Like, I will admit, this will be a notch against me in terms of my title of Big Geek, but I haven't actually read the Invincible comic series. I have been told about
Shame.
it. I always,
Shame.
yeah, I know. I know. Yeah.
Come from the two guys who like I've completed like one comic book series. It was
Hush.
Hush. Yeah, it was Hush.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I got like halfway through Court of Owls. Not that I'm disliking it or anything like that. I
Oh,
just
Hush, I
like,
completed that one too.
yo, there it is. Yo, he's got
Actually,
knocked up.
T, I know you also finished Long Halloween.
I did, and Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah, I might as well just step out of this conversation.
But I am for the first time on the same page as you guys in terms of knowing about this comic or about the story. The only thing I know is that aside from being like hella popular, is that it's done by Image Comics, and they're the people who did the Walking Dead comics book series and Kick-Ass.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they also did one other. I think Spawn.
I was thinking, is that the one that Todd McFarlane owns, or is it not? Now I gotta Google it.
Yeah, you might as well Google it. I think Spawn is also Image Comics, but I'm not sure. I don't think it's Dark Horse. Anyway, so like Marvel and DC are like the big comic book publications, but they also have Dark Horse and Image Comics, and I think there's one other that I can't remember right now. But Image Comics did Invincible, and so from what people told me is the first couple of issues were okay, and that it kind of did an excellent job of building off its foundation and then just piling on top of that to the point that people are like, holy shit. So I'm excited to see it. I definitely see what you mean about the One Punch Man situation. It definitely, like, I would say it looks less funny than One Punch Man. Now, to be fair, I've only watched the first like half of One Punch Man. I lost interest in it, and I also know that will also be another notch against my geekdom because I'm one of the few people who didn't really enjoy One Punch Man.
By the way, Spawn and this are all Image Comics. So yeah, and I have there's a whole actual for another day kind of conversation, but Image Comics in themselves and how they work as a business is a really interesting thing in the whole comic book world. I watched a whole like hour video one year on Todd McFarlane and about that, and it's really interesting. But as a side note, I'll put that aside for another episode.
Sounds good.
So what's the Turtles under?
IDW? Or
I don't even know what that is. But it does kind of make me want to read stuff outside of DC and Marvel now.
To be honest, like, you should. Like I fully support that. Not that.
Yeah, because it's like, you know, it's like the boys and, you know, the Kick-Ass and all these other obscure kind of like superheroes or comic book.
To be honest, the only reason I didn't push that on you earlier is because I know that in terms of comics, like, there's a bit of a resistance to reading it on your part.
Yeah.
And that audience members, he has a lot of other things he reads, which is like very much in favor of his spirituality and also, you know, his career. So, you know, like, he don't always have time for comics, but at the same time, you know, I will fully support you thinking that you should probably check out some more.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, Turtles is Mirage Studios from 1984 to
Mirage,
2014.
that was it. Mirage.
Yeah, I knew the second I was gonna say it, you're gonna have a reaction because you got it wrong.
Yeah, I was like, I know there was the fifth one, but I couldn't remember its name. Mirage.
Yeah.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah, actually, since I mentioned it, I feel like I feel bad for the people who are like, what was the thing about Image Studios, right? Or Image Comics, sorry. Is the thing about Image Comics that was different is that a lot of the other ones basically give you a percentage share on the comics that are sold, like DC and Marvel. I forget what the percentage is. Let's say arguably it's like 5% of all of the sales on the comics. And the way Image Studios was, Todd McFarlane wanted to set up differently. So they have like an administrative fee. I'm going to forget what the number is, but let's say it's like a $50,000, right? And so you have an upfront fee of like $50,000 that the studio or the company puts forward. If you don't recoup that money, then it's like their expense. But if once you recoup that money, after that point, 100% of the profits are yours. So a lot of the comic book writers who came up with comics became millionaires in a very short period of time, where they would take them years to make even like a decent salary, which is also, there's a whole thing as to like why in the beginning of Image Comics when it started, did a lot of the comic book writers disappear after they would come up with a very successful thing. And he literally says, like, because some of these people went from making $40,000 a year to like 3 million, and they just stopped. Right? And it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, that's like that's just summary of what Image Comics, which makes me intrigued to look at their content, because it's more supporting of the original of what the writer wants, and not the big machine, so to speak. So it's more indie.
Yeah, which would explain why they have such short runs but are successful, because they are like people are like killing people in that, people are swearing, people are, you know, sexually assaults, and like a whole lot of political religious things. Like I think Preacher is another example of like them just like going to like as far as they want to go and not having to like tone it down for the kids, sort of thing, which DC and Marvel kind of have to do, though now they've kind of like been doing not so much on that and have been making it more adult. But Invincible was on something I did want to read. I just never got around to it. And this trailer, I like, first of all, I hope it's a good adaptation, because I know a lot of people love it. But I really kind of hope that it's something that has. Now this may offend people who are Invincible fans, but I kind of want it to be on the same level of character development as Avatar: The Last Airbender, where we like it starts off with a like modest opening. Because like, for example, I'm relating to watching his reactions, Tactix, when he was watching Avatar: The Last Airbender. I remember he was saying like first season he was kind of like it's okay, and then like when he hit second season, well, I'll just let him talk about that. Like how did you feel?
Yeah, so I was initially very turned off by the trailers that I saw for Avatar.
Oh really?
Yeah, just because it came off very childish, and it was just like, you know, like I at that point I'd kind of gotten at that age where it was just like, you know how like old, there's certain like cartoons that you used to watch as a kid, and like now like they just don't hold the same, not like the same weight, like Looney Tunes. You won't fucking watch that now. Like, you know, I mean, maybe what I want. I'm not judging if you do.
Yo,
but
don't hate over here, brother. Don't hate. You know, I'm a Looney
like,
Tune all day.
Just for me, like, you know, there's like certain things that like just didn't appeal to me regarding the trailer. But you know, you kept advocating for it, so I was like, all right, you know what, one day if like I have some time off, I'll check out a couple of episodes. So I initially gave it a try, and you know, I wasn't 100% sold on the first couple episodes, because I usually, like, you know, we all, as we all do, we always give like a show 3 watches or 3 episodes before we decide whether or not we're going to continue. And so I did, and you know, it just barely made it over the threshold for me by that third episode. But then as the series started to progress, it started to really grow on me, especially when they started to kind of flesh out Uncle Iroh's character. You know, because at that point I was like really into spirituality, and like a lot of the stuff that he was saying, like his quotes and his whole overall perspective and philosophy was really interesting. It really resonated with me. And then I start to kind of really get drawn into the characters, like Aang and his whole story arc and everything. So,
and Zuko,
yeah, like all of them, like they all had their own interesting backstories that made them compelling characters, right? So
see, yeah. and that is what I really, which I don't think I need to have to worry about. I think I want that from Invincible. I want it to be something that like we have a modest beginning, but like a firm foundation.
Yeah, I just wouldn't want it to be as slow a burn for me.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because I like Avatar really resonated with me just because I related to a lot of a lot of the elements from that, right? I honestly
no pun
don't
intended.
Like, yeah, no pun intended. But with Invincible, like I don't know anything about the property, so for all I know, there might be some underlining things that really strikes a chord with me. But I like, based on how it's portrayed, it's just like a superhero. It's like another typical superhero show that's going to be dark and gritty and stuff, right? So,
but also high school, I think.
Right, but you know, I like for something like that, I kind of want it to be, you know, appealing fresh out the gate. Like I don't want it to be a slow burn, you know, like certain things I like, you know, I don't mind if it's a slow burn. Like for example, and this is not even a really good example because it technically wasn't a slow burn, but Dragon or Demon Slayer, right?
Yeah.
Like like, but it captured my attention by like the second episode because I was like, oh, okay, I want like shit's already going down in the first episode. Like his family just got slaughtered. His daughter or his sister is now turned, and now he has to save her, and he has to become this demon slayer. So it's like, shit was already happening, right? So I really want Invincible to be kind of on that same level where it just kind of grabs you off the first or second episode.
I'm in agreement with that. How about you, Darce?
I don't know. I feel like now I get we're talking more the structural elements of Avatar, not the tone of Avatar, but I don't know. It doesn't feel right for me. It feels like I don't want something that's gonna be building up this like long hero. I get a sense from this that it's not going to be your typical. Like there's things about it that's marketing it that kind of makes me feel like, okay, yeah, it's kind of like what if Clark Kent was but we got to see Clark Kent in like a Peter Parker like esque scenario where he's like in high school, but instead of having oh, I don't know who my parents and my father is, he actually has the father to teach him and something. But then like now there's so many characters, stuff like that. Is like, okay, are we in a world where it's like The Boys and everyone knows about superheroes, but they're actually real superheroes, like the way that we're used to real superheroes? There's so many things that I'm like, it's breaking enough normalcies that I'm like, I kind of wanted to like break my idea of how you tell a superhero story like this, instead of it kind of doing things that I'm kind of expecting, because it presented things that I didn't expect in a mix of things I did expect. Like you got like very clearly a Superman character, and then at the very end of the trailer, we had this woman who's basically reminds me of like a Skrull, and I was like, huh? So I'm like, at this point, I'm like, you better just show me new ideas. Like that's kind of what I want to see. Is that I don't want them to be like, give me more of the same. If you're going to like bombard all these kind of concepts at the same time, give me new ways of approaching these situations. So
are you saying so don't go on, T?
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, I totally agree with that. I would love to actually see kind of like an in between of a Superman-esque story and like a Brightburn type of feel to it, like where it's like it's not quite Brightburn, but it's not quite Superman either. It's like right in between, where it's like it teeters on the edge of being a dark kind of horror, but then also it's rooted in some kind of it's rooted in some wholesomeness, like how Clark Kent is portrayed, and like that whole relationship that he has between him and his father, and the morals that were instilled upon him as his human father anyway, right? And so I would love to see kind of like a mixture of the two, where he's like dancing on the edge of his human side and then his superhero side, where he's almost conflicted, where he's like, sometimes I kind of want to just like let loose and like really like wreck up shop or whatever, but then my human side kind of like pulls me back in, and he's always dancing on that edge kind of thing.
I get the feeling though that since his father was there with him in the sky, or at least presumably his father teaching him how to like throw the ball across the earth, that like we're not going to get that same level of conflict because you have guidance, right? Like the conflict of Superman being the immigrant without knowing his connection is very similar to, I want to say, being like any nation of people who've been stripped of their heritage, right? Like you look at African Americans, Chinese people in like I forget which part of China, but like where they were separated from colonization, and then they lose the connection between their ancestral history. So that kind of like Superman story is like that, where he comes in and to the world, he grows up, but he's completely separated from his ancestry. Well, this one feels like he's going to have some connection. He's not going to be as disconnected from that. But the one thing I want to see with this character, based off what I was presented, is I want to see Clark Kent portrayed like Wonder Woman. because there is something about the way the tone of the show shows me that like I like how Wonder Woman, that quote, the picture that they have in one of the comics where it was like the reason why you don't see my villains keep popping up is because when I handle my villains, I handle my villains, right? And I kind of want to see it's not like Wonder Woman is like this evil thing that just goes around killing unnecessarily, right? Like the version of Superman in that dark storyline where he was the
Justice
son of
Lord.
yeah, son of Zod. Yeah.
Oh, right. Gods and
Yeah. I have to remember Gods and Monsters. Gods
I think Gods and Monsters. Yeah.
Yeah, Gods and Monsters. So like not like that version where he's just like really cruel. It's just I kind of would like to see him being as powerful as he is and more decisive about certain things, and to see and not have that moral complex that he has. Because I just think it would be interesting to someone to play that out. And people will have their arguments, but then actually have someone say, "Yeah, screw the arguments. I'm going to play this out and then show it to you." And I kind of like the idea of seeing that.
For me, I would say that I'm hoping for an intricate storyline. I guess I want the not so much the Peter Parker one. And you know what? To be honest, Darcy, I agree with you. I wouldn't mind like a person, like a guy who's like Wonder Woman, who's like I deal with the thing, but I'm also like I believe in people. But like at the same time, my enemy, I take my enemy out. But what I'm kind of hoping for, mostly because of what you guys said about the fact that his father is there, I kind of hope that like the problems that his father escaped from to Earth, the problems come back and they have to kind of like deal with that. And that it's actually like a multi-layered issue. And that's why I meant by I want this to be something that builds off each other, where it's like every step they go, it's like they're building up another level to create this like cathedral of a story arc. But go on.
No, I was just gonna say it just seems like his fought like, and I mean the trailer was really short, so who's to really say, right? But it just it doesn't seem like his father is a huge pivotal role in this character's life. So maybe I'm thinking maybe something happened to the father, or the father is, if he is a pivotal part of the role of his life, maybe he's evil, or like I don't know what the case may be, but I'm like. I feel like he could the character the Invincible character can still be conflicted, not in the same way as like Clark Kent, where he's struggling with his human side, his morality and all that stuff. But like if this is taking place in high school, then like what is the world like? It's like Umar, like is it, or I don't know if it was Umar or Darcy, but is the world kind of like the boys in the sense of like
Darcy,
like is it like are superheroes well known, and like are they accepted in this world? Are people against them like in like the X-Men? Like is it like a mutant type of thing, or do they have a secret? I mean, he wears a costume, so I mean, is the secret identity thing like a big factor in there, or is that just for show? Like we really don't know, right? So
for me,
ways you can go with it.
For me, I would say that this trailer has increased my desire to read the comic, and also I'm excited to watch this. Not just because like I need another thing to watch, but this looks very promising to me. Well, that's just my opinion. What do you guys think?
I'm intrigued.
Yeah, I'm just analyzing the trailer, so I'm like doing that look up tactics just in case you got to call me out. Like, why am I not looking forward? But I was like analyzing the trailer on my second screen, and the one thing it starts off with is that you see, and again, I'm assuming, does he say father in this trailer? Because I'm like, I wonder if we're making an assumption that he's the father.
I believe it is his father.
Okay, yeah.
But like then again, like I'm not sure if I assume that if there's still
I mean, the fact that they're throwing a ball, like I mean, it seems very father son type of
100%. But at the same time, like watch, it's not his father. It's just somebody who's giving him guidance, and like there's many ways to play that off. It's like, well, why would they have the ball? It's like I'm literally just teaching them some shit. Like it just happened to be a good object to use. But
it just seems like a common father son trope to like be like playing catch with your dad kind of thing.
Exactly.
500%.
Yeah.
But the one thing of this trailer I just noticed when going back, and it's the very, very beginning, is that the father figure has like a gray suit and gray hair at the very beginning. He's like flying into Earth. And it kind of gave me the idea, it's either one of two scenarios, but it gave me the idea mostly that it's like he's been Superman for a while, so to speak, or whatever the Superman character is, and it's like he might be passing down the torch. The other scenario could be like that's just how he arrived on the planet, and that's what we'll get as a backstory piece.
Right.
But I don't know, something about the way that it like looks. I don't know, just kind of made me think that. But I have like again, we have so little information to go off of. We're completely speculating off tone and clips, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I look forward to having the series be revealed and we all having a review about it of what we think.
When did it say that it's dropping? Invincible, Amazon.
Sometime in 2021.
Yeah.
They didn't give it like a specific date.
2021. Okay, yeah. So we'll circle back on this in a little bit.
Yeah.
Give it a couple weeks.
All right. So then I would say the next topic I've been wanting to talk about this for a while, mostly because like I just love the actor. But I have recently rewatched the first season of American Gods.
That must have been hard.
What do you mean?
I just find it so convoluted in the way that it's told. Like I like it, but I'm like, what happened in this episode again?
Really? I love. Well, the first season I love the storytelling. The second season became a little bit less convoluted, as you would say it. So I think that, but at the same time, it also got more mixed reviews because the first season everyone was like, "Holy shit!" So first thing I just want to ask: did both of you watch the first season of American Gods, or the second, or both seasons?
I have not watched the show at all.
Oh,
so I'm gonna just dip out.
Yeah. I've seen the first season. He's actually dipping. I've seen the first season, and I saw some level of the second season, and I phased out because I don't know. Like I liked a lot of the storytelling and the visuals, but I just felt that it was very like heady. Is like a phrase I've been hearing a lot recently. Like it's just like, and not in a good way. Like it was like at times it was just like they were
pretentious.
Yeah, and just not making it clear for me. Like I don't know. It's just I was kind of like, I'd watch it. I'd like literally the next episode would come up, right? And I go watch it. Like I say, I hadn't watched it in a couple of days, and I go back to watch a new episode. And I'm like, and I get to recap it. And I'm like, I don't remember any of this. What?
Okay. Well, nonetheless, we're not going to be talking about the series itself. I just and I sent you guys the links to the stuff that I want to focus on. The thing I want to focus on is Orlando Jones, the actor. He plays the god Anansi, or Mr. Nancy, and he also had some of the, in my opinion, best scenes of the series. Hands down.
He was, every time he came on, he stole the air of the friggin' show.
Right. Tactix, did you watch any of the stuff I sent you?
I watched the clips. Yeah.
Okay, thank God. Okay, phew. So that's all. That's all we're looking at. So he has been fired from the third season of American Gods, and he wasn't even technically told he was fired. They just started the third season without him. And I'm just going to give a brief like background perspective. He came in for the first season, and Michael Green and Brian Fuller wrote his epic first scene where he was on the ship and telling all the slaves to burn the ship down and all that sort of stuff, which got him huge acclaim and was all over the news for ages. He was so well received that in the second season, when Brian Fuller and Michael Green they left the series, they got a new showrunner, and the new showrunner was like, I need help with writing some of these characters. Would you want, he goes to Orlando Jones, do you want to come help write this? So he went from an actor to a writer and actor. And he wrote for all the people of color gods in the series, from what he says. And then, with relative success in terms of the second season, his scenes were still considered really stand out. And then that showrunner was also left the series, and now they got a third showrunner to go to the third season, and he is some French dude who kind of came in and basically didn't want to have anything to do with Mr. Nancy.
Yeah, I'm not surprised once you said that last part.
Yeah. So Orlando Jones kind of was quiet for several months, and then he just started talking about it, the fact that, hey, I got fired from American Gods and no one even bothered to tell me why, and I went from being an actor to a writer and actor to now nothing. And I just find this to be put it simply. It's bullshit.
Like, damn, how do you get fired on your day off? Shit.
Yo, let me put this out to you bluntly, okay? If you don't want to be called a racist, then just don't talk to them.
I was actually reading some stuff where apparently, I think Stars is like I don't remember which studio is doing American Gods, but they found his message for Black people to be not in line with what they wanted, and I'm like, if the Black people are resonating with what Mr. Nancy is saying, and you're saying that's not what you want to put out, you can't say that's not racist.
Mm-hmm. It also sounds like they're having a whole lot of problems with this show. Like, I mean, because it's failing. I mean, the fact that like you had just 3 showrunners in 3 seasons. I'm just saying, like, yeah, it kind of sounds like the studio is kind of like, and we're fed up, and this is the only guy we can hire. We might happen to be racist, but whatever.
Yeah, like the creator the showrunner for season 3 is like, Mr. Nancy isn't in this part of the book, so we don't need him to come on. And I'm just like, sure.
Yeah, okay, but it's not like you work at McDonald's and you're like, am I on the schedule for this month? Okay, no, okay. It's like you're on salary. You're gonna show up. You're not gonna like, you all of a sudden they start working without you. Yeah, there's gonna be some problems.
But also, I find it really frustrating, and this is just me from like from a person of color perspective, not even from like a Black person's perspective, where they're literally saying that Orlando Jones' scenes, and then the scenes of which he wrote and then acted in, which have had stupendous positive responses from the Black community and also people of color, and also from classrooms. Like, there were teachers who have been saying, I've shown these scenes to my classroom, and you fire them? Like, even from like a financial perspective, like, if he's the one who people are critically acclaiming the series about, like, as a standout performance, from a financial perspective, isn't this a bad call to remove him?
Yeah, it like from a general, like take out Orlando Jones out of the picture. How many times have we seen a show? I'm gonna take Game of Thrones randomly here, okay?
Okay.
What's the little person's name? I forget his name right now.
Of Tyrion.
Tyrion. So that character, from my understanding, I didn't read the books and whatnot, but he wasn't supposed to be in the show as long as he was. And the actor, I got the impression something like he wasn't supposed to be.
He's still around in the books. Like, he's been in the books from beginning to end. All
right, well, that's wrong example. But anyways, we've all had many examples where there's been an actor who's come into a show. The character's not really supposed to be there. They're not there in the original, whatever comic or source material. Yeah, and they end up sticking around because the actor kills it so much they have to keep the character around because it just makes that financial sense. Sometimes that works, sometimes people get pissed off, blah 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 blah. But regardless, the studios are making that decision because it's money, right? Like, you kill the character off and people are going like, if you kill them off, we're not watching the show. And you're like, okay, we're not killing them off. So if this is the thing that people are talking the most about, you just double down. You just find ways to incorporate more, right? Because it's the thing that keeps people talking, coming back. They want to see more of. You have the higher chance of, even if people don't know about it, that you get a big PR boost out of the show because they do a great scene. You drop this thing, people start talking, blah 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 blah. So yeah, fundamentally at its base, it's a dumb idea to cut the thing that people are talking about, and just because you don't like it, like that person. So
what do you think, T?
Well, first of all, how popular is this show? Because I barely hear anyone. Actually, I haven't heard anyone really talk about it outside of YouTube.
Definitely not that popular.
I would say it's not mainstream popular, no.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I can't really speak on it too much. I mean, I agree with everything that you guys both said, especially you, Darcy. I do agree. I can't pinpoint an actual show that's done that, but I know there have been shows that where like a character isn't like a pivotal part of the original storyline, but because of the character being so well received, they actually write him in as a series regular. I know this isn't rooted in like a comic book, but like that was the case with Family Matters, like the old school like sitcom where with Steve Urkel. Like Steve Urkel wasn't supposed to be an original, like he wasn't supposed to be a main part of that show, but because he was no,
Yeah.
I'm dead serious. He was only supposed to be like a side character for like a couple of episodes, but because he was so well received, they actually wrote him on and he became a series regular and became the most popular part of that series.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious. Look it up.
He's almost the center of the show.
Yeah, he was. The show was supposed to be centered around Carl Winslow, and like they actually, I think they altered the storyline severely because it was supposed to be about a black police officer cop who and how he deals with running a family and being a police officer, and then they completely just changed the whole storyline once Steve Urkel made his appearance and was so well received by the public that they're like, "Yo, fuck. This guy's going to make us a ton of money. We got to keep him on the show."
Oh shit!
Yeah,
because he was like, was it Zach like from Saved by the Bell? Like he was at that level. Like those two shows to me, it was like Urkel and Zach were like equal. Yeah. Like in terms of like they're the character that you tune in to see what they're going to do, even though all the other characters are going to do great things and have great moments. You're like, yeah, but what are they going to
do? Yeah.
Yo, man, you blowing my mind right now.
Yeah, I didn't know that at the time, but I was like watching a lot of like Jaleel White's interviews like as of late, and like he revealed that like he was only supposed to be a guest. He was only supposed to have a guest appearance for a couple of episodes, and that was it. And like in the earlier episodes, he's actually just a secondary character, like one of like like in some of those cheesy sitcoms, you'll have that one odd character that'll say like one or two lines and it's like hilarious, but then you never see him again. Like it was supposed to be kind of on that same level, but his on-screen appearance was so outstanding that people like gravitated to him immediately. They're like, "Yo, we need more Steve Urkel in our life," and then they wrote him into the show, and he pretty much he saved that show. Like you can't say Family Matters without Steve Urkel.
Yeah, like frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if you did. Like people would just remember it as the Steve Urkel show.
Yeah.
Did I do that?
Yeah.
Because like honestly, like what you're describing, T, it almost sounds like Jazz from The Fresh Prince. Like he just
well, I mean that's initially what he was supposed to be like, but even a much even lesser than Jazz, because Jazz still kind of made appearances here and there. Mainly, I feel like because
his relationship
his relationship with Will, right? Because it was that whole show was supposed to be for Will Smith, right? So he had a certain level of pull, so he could bring Jazz on as much as he needed to, right? But for Steve Urkel, it was supposed to be even a lesser appearance than Jazz. He was only supposed to have like one or two episodes, and then they wrote him into the entire series.
Then this just proves that American Gods did a really stupid call, because this like Steve Urkel made, like you guys said, he made the series. And I remember actually like Buffy's another example, like Spike, who ended up being like a main person in the series. He was only supposed to be on for like 4 episodes and die. But they're like, no, this guy's like a big hit. We got to keep him around. And like they kept him around for the rest of the season. Then they brought him back in season 3, and then in season 4, they're just like, Joe, just keep him.
Mm-hmm. And they kept Spike, but they killed off who was his girlfriend? Drusilla?
Well, she didn't die. She just left.
They just left. That was like, and they were like a duo, right?
Yeah, like they broke up because of the popularity on his side and not hers. Wow.
Yeah, man.
As a character who also I was thinking about randomly, just like who's supposed to be really like, who actually is really small, and like an example would be like, what was in Friends, what was Chandler's ex, the annoying one?
Oh, Fred?
Oh, no, not Friend.
The one with that really high pitched voice.
Oh God.
You're like, Chandler.
Janice.
There it is.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, that really helped.
Yeah, it does. Because every time you hear that voice, you'd be like,
Yeah,
Janice?
it's so nasally, yo.
Yeah, so
Darcy,
that's probably
what happened. He did that voice. And I'm like, oh god, Janice.
Yeah, exactly. Happened in the show. I feel like that's kind of where the Urkel kind of thing was. That's a character who comes in, does a couple of things, is very eccentric and is fun, and then you check out. And she came back multiple times, had multiple great scenes, but never obviously was going to be written in. I mean, no one could ever write her in that character as a series regular.
Yeah, like she didn't become a regular, right? So
you'd be like, turn that off. Like, like 5-6 episodes in where she's like hanging out with the gang, you'd be like, oh my god. Yeah.
Okay, wow. No, seriously, you just blew my mind with that one. But like, I guess we've just proven that like them firing Orlando Jones is even dumber now because like, Jesus.
You take the whole what we know is going on behind the scenes aspect out of it, and it's just like you're supposed to double down when things are good, and like I mean, I don't know if American Gods has source material, right? It doesn't feel like the show that's like rooted in a particular comic. I could be completely wrong. It just didn't feel like that for me. But, you know, if it's especially, so apparently it is, or is that one of those ones where they start releasing the book after the show comes out?
This came out years before the show was even conceived.
Okay, so fine. But everything's got source material, even though it feels like it's just being made up on the fly to me. But regardless, yeah, I would double down on it. I would have doubled down on that character.
I completely agree.
You know, so those scenes are phenomenal. Like if nothing else, like for people who aren't going to ever try American Gods, and I don't blame you, you know, go and just watch the Orlando Jones scenes because they're just fantastic.
Honestly, yeah, like viewers, go to YouTube, click in Mr. Nancy American Gods. You're gonna get like 2 or 3 really awesome fucking scenes.
Yeah, the performances. It's like everything about his charismatic delivery, but done in such a very like something that's very important, and yet at the same time, I don't know how to put it. It's like it's at the same height of his like when he's comedic, but on the dramatic side, and it's just like that performance is like you cannot replicate that with another person. You might get another amazing performance, but you're not going to get that kind of performance.
Actually, okay, just quickly, Tactix. I've like this is Darcy's like many times. Him and I have talked about Mr. Nancy over the years.
Right.
What did you think of the scenes that you saw?
So it's been a while since I saw the boat one that Darcy was referring to, but I remember watching that and I was like, because whoever sent it to me didn't give me any context. They're just you're just like, yo, you need to watch this. It's like, and you said like you guys specifically, and I was like, oh, okay, it must be some racial thing. So, I was like, so I went and I watched it. Sure enough, I was right. And yeah, I remember my reaction just being like, wow, that like, because it was just him speaking for like, how long was that clip? Like 4 or 5 minutes? Yeah. But everything that he was saying was like said with such conviction and so powerful. And like, you know, he was speaking a lot of deep rooted shit. And you're just kind of like, oh, fuck, man. Like, I just remember getting chills. Right. And I'd never seen the show, but just that scene alone was like enough to be like, I kind of want to watch, like, to see like the rest of it. I didn't end up doing it, but to
be honest, I don't blame you. Like, it's not like literally those are his only scenes.
Yeah, but no, I just remember being very moved by the scene.
Yeah, trust me, if you watch the rest of the show, you would not be getting more of the same. It is literally like all these, from what I remember, it's like all these different gods of different things. Like there's a god of technology and the god of war and the god of like other things. And they're all like fighting for power. And like the god of technology is winning in the current era because of all the use of technology, where some other gods losing their power because people aren't worshiping that idol, right? Like the tech, like using your phone is the idol of the god of technology. Whatever it was. Regardless, what I'm getting at is like you're not gonna get more of the same. Is the point?
I just remember watching like the first episode, and there was like a weird sex scene or something where some girl like she transformed or some shit, And I
Oh
was
yeah.
like, what the fuck is this?
She ate the guy with her vagina.
Yeah, I was like, what is going on, man? I was like, I was into it at first, and then it just got weird real quick. I was like, oh, okay.
To be honest, it gets equally weird throughout. Like it's like I would say like certain parts you'd be like, yo, that's pretty cool. Other parts you'd be like, well, that was fucked up.
Yeah.
Yo, I need to like go on YouTube and see if there's that clip of the woman eating the guy with her vagina and to the music of Nelly Furtado, Man Eater. all new meaning to that song right there. Perfectly aligned.
There's actually a horror movie. I haven't seen it yet, but it's called Teeth, and you can imagine what that. Yeah. It's like some rare condition this day and age.
I was gonna do it. It's a rare condition. How do we keep tying these things back? I don't know. It's so weird. Like 90 shows. Yeah, okay.
Oh man.
Okay. On that note, we're going to transition to our final topic for today, which is The Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 1. Okay, for those who haven't seen The Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 1, just stop watching.
And for those of us who've seen Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 2, try not to spoil anything.
Yes, Darcy, please don't, because Tactix and I have not gotten to that point.
I have like 10 minutes left, so, you know, but I mean, I've pretty much seen it.
Honestly, you're not going to spoil anything for me, because I was like, I just finished watching Episode 1, and had I not already spoiled it for myself, I would have no idea who that fucking last character was. But apparently he's like he's a big deal.
Are you talking about like the one in the last image, the one who turned to the camera?
Yeah, apparently that's a big reveal. It's supposed to be. I know.
I didn't know. I'm surprised. You didn't know about that? That was Boba Fett?
No, I didn't know. I didn't remember. I'm not big into Star Wars, man. Like.
Fair.
So I was like, who? Like, had I not spoiled it for myself, I'd be like, who is that guy? And then I'd have to Google it. I'd be like, oh, okay, cool.
Fair. Okay, well,
that's how much of a non-fan I am.
I'm a Star Trek fan. Like, inherently, I'm Star Trek. So, like,
yeah, but there's no comparison, bro. You and me don't compare in this regard, man. You still know your shit when it comes to Star Wars.
Thank you.
I don't know if that's worth bragging rights. It's me, bro.
It is to somebody for sure.
So, okay, what did you guys think of the first episode?
Yo, it's dope as always, man. This show is great.
So it's maintained it for you, is what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean,
oh yeah, go ahead, man.
No, man. I love the battle with whatever that giant ass worm thing is with teeth. I love how he finishes that moment, because it's like how he just like comes out. I love how they go deeper into the idea of this cowboy-esque kind of experience. I also love the music scoring, and I've watched videos on the guy who actually scores the music for the show and like his thought process. So I was like really appreciating how the episode opened up just musically. I just enjoyed it because in more, I'm not saying anything about the episode 2, but like the tonality of this whole cowboy thing that they keep in all the shows, I like it because it feels like a whole different way to experience a Star Wars universe, but it's completely in the Star Wars universe. It doesn't feel like it's like completely abstracted and I have to like imagine how to connect it back to the universe. In the universe, it's like his sound and tone to the universe is a different one than like the Skywalker world. You know what I mean? And I love
kind
that.
of like you're watching a brand new sci-fi, but it turns out that it's actually the same sci-fi that like as we've been watching for the last 40 years.
Yeah. It's definitely a way to put it. It's just it's to me like when watching the Clone Wars, right? Like the animated series.
I hear you.
When you come into that, and yeah, it's very much Star Wars, but there was something very much fresh about it, right? Like it's like 90% like the same, and yet not the same. And that's what I love about the show is like this one feels like it's like 60-70% the same, and there's like 30% I'm getting new in how the story is told.
How about you, T?
I enjoyed it. I loved the the opening or the first fight
Oh
scene where he
yeah.
took out all those guys. I
Oh,
was
that
like,
was
oh,
gorgeous.
because I was like, yo, how's he gonna get out of this? But I'm like, he's gonna get out of it. But I'm like, is someone gonna save him, or is he gonna like do some crazy like wicked shit? And he did the latter, and I was impressed, man. I was like, shit, that was pretty slick. And then how he just left that guy to die at the end of it, that was dope. Yeah, the show has definitely maintained its the interest level for me. Like it's only been the first episode, and already it's off to a really great start, and
Yeah.
I'm still curious to see where they're gonna go with it. I really can't even call it because of the fact that I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, so I don't know if that's more advantageous on my part for kind of being none the wiser about a lot of the things that they reference and stuff. But as a whole, like as an outsider, just kind of viewing it on its own merits, it's still very entertaining, and like yeah, I'm really enjoying it, and I'm down for the ride, man. I'm liking it.
To be honest, I value your point of view because you're almost coming at it from an objective point of view as opposed to like fan point of view.
Mhm.
So like
Mhm.
that's why I want to know what you think, because well, not that I don't want to know what Darcy thinks, but like I kind of want to see what the layman would have in terms of
Yeah.
it, not someone who's like drenched into the lore.
Mhm.
Because yeah, like there's the element of like you get to connect with someone on that front, but at the same time I kind of want to see like how other people see it from an outside perspective and whether it still holds up. Like am I being just like fed stuff that I've always wanted to see from a particular style, or am I actually getting a good TV series like on the whole?
Yeah, it's. I think part of the intrigue is that it's different than what I'm typically used to watching. Like my list of shows are very short. They're like the occasional anime, mainly
No.
superhero shows, and then This Is Us. Like that's like the grand scope of my that's the broad scope of my TV viewing experience. So like this is vastly different than what I'm typically used to. Like it's like a mix, like Darcy was saying, it's like a mix of it's like a sci-fi western, which is very unique and interesting. So like yeah, like it's they're building a lot of intrigue with the show, and I'm enjoying the storyline so far and where it's going, and the mystery of Baby Yoda and what that whole thing is about, and like what's the end result going to be once he finally gets or accomplishes his mission. Like where's everything going to go from there. So yeah, I'm loving it so far.
Yo, I'm just saying, you guys, you're gonna have a good time episode 2. That's all I'm gonna say. Everything that you described episode 1 is like replicated in episode 2 with a completely different set of circumstances. It's like it's just as enjoyable. Umar, I'm gonna say something here that's gonna be blasphemous for a lot of Star Wars people and a lot of other group of people in a second, but it's very
I'll
true.
jump in front of you to protect you from them.
Okay, I don't know if you will after you hear this. You might be one of those people. But Mandalorian, especially being a live action in this comparison, the way that they have done this show has done what J.J. Abrams did for the first 2 Star Treks when they came back. When like those movies, he took, especially that first one, because the first one was
I've seen
really
the first
good.
one. Yeah, the first one everyone liked. Even Star Trek fans weren't a fan of the second one. I enjoyed the second one, but it definitely had a lot of plot holes in there.
The first one, let me just backtrack to the first one. I was forgetting how the second one a little bit here, but like the first one, because when that came out, it made Star Trek accessible, right? Like I loved like Star Trek Next Generation as a kid, but when that movie came out, it made it everything you want a big blockbuster film to be, while still making it a Star Trek film, and was able to bridge the gap between your average moviegoer, and like, and still to this day,
Totally agree.
That intro scene with Hemsworth,
just phenomenal.
Which I like. It took me forever to realize that was Thor, and that was actually his first big role that prepped him, which he's really. I watched a video recently. He said he's really appreciative that happened before he became Thor, because you don't think he'd be ready if those events didn't happen. But it was an amazing scene. But yeah, this is doing what that Star Trek movie did, and because there's lots of people who can watch this because it has these elements that are really fun. The Western like storyline, oh, it feels like something you're familiar with, and you can just kind of coast and watch it and not really know everything that's going on in this world because you're just exploring like a Westerner would explore. Like a
Yeah.
lot of Westerns, you come in midway through a movie, or midway through their storyline, and you don't. There's things that happen before, and they're just kind of like, depending on like some of them, right? But you get some where
Yeah.
people are like, this guy's been established for blah 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 blah, and here's the big battle he's up against, right? And he's already the gunslinger, the best gunslinger in the West, right? And we're gonna find out this is his pivotal moment, right? Where this one, it's kind of like that. Like he's already been an amazing gunslinger, like right out of the gate, everyone knows him, they're afraid of him, and now we're finding this is a pivotal moment, and we're going from there, and it's really really accessible from that perspective, but it's Star Wars all day long.
Yeah, like I would say that what I find to be, and to be honest, if this does it, I won't be upset. People have been recently saying that if The Mandalorian continues on the way it is, it could very easily just rewrite the sequel series to the point that like the sequel series will just follow in from like whatever they lay, and they can do whatever they want. And then people will be like, you know what? The sequel series never happened. Let's just go from The Mandalorian and make movies from there, sort of thing, and like what the ramifications are from that sort of thing. And like, don't get me wrong, I feel bad for the people who made the sequel trilogy because that's a lot of people being thrown off the bus on that front. But at the same time, The Mandalorian is what I wanted, which is what I've been wanting since the original trilogy.
Yeah,
I wanted it brought into the modern day. I wanted modern day graphics, but I didn't want it to take over like it did with the prequel trilogy. And I want a good storyline with good acting. And I mean, some people might say I'm asking for too much. I don't think I am. And personally, I like the fact that we've taken away from the main storyline. To be honest, I'm tired of. And, Darcy, I'm now probably going to upset our Star Wars fans myself by saying I'm tired of the Skywalker bloodline and like the big storyline. We good. I don't need no more of it.
It's too limiting at this point because there's too much that you have to do right and wrong at the same time. And like, I mean, wrong in some people's eyes. So yeah, and there's, again, I've heard me harp this a million times already, but there's so much in that universe that you can explore that you don't have to stick with this one group of people every single time.
Yeah, and have them just be anecdotes now. Like, we've done the original trilogy, you did the prequel.
Yeah.
Okay, but let's move on now.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree with that too. Like I remember watching Campia talking about that as well, and he was like,
I should start watching this guy.
Yeah, he's really good. Yeah, he's got a lot of good opinions. Not everything I agree with, but yeah, he's entertaining to watch. But yeah, he was saying, the Star Wars lore is so vast, and there's like so many different storylines that you could pull out of your ass and tell, and yet we always come back to this Skywalker saga, or like restoring balance to the Force and all this shit. It's like let's move on. Like we're always prefacing the galaxy, and yet we're always focusing on these specific characters. Like we can go beyond that now, right? Like it's been like 9 movies now about the same shit. So
and it's not that you can't tell some stories about them, but build up the universe for a while and then let it come back. Do a little bit of Marvel.
Exactly.
Make it wide, and then all these things have happened, and then find a way to slot a story in the middle that's like, oh, that's amazing. But you have time to prep that because you would have built so much else.
I'm not even a Star Wars fan though, but it's like I don't want to hear any more of Skywalker, to be honest, man. Yeah. Like I'm kind of over that now. I want like new stories. If I'm gonna stay invested in this series, or like just overall the whole Star Wars lore, then I want some new stuff.
And honestly, I'll just finish off by saying that if we start going, like, if we do like a huge back in the day, like when the Sith and the Jedi first split apart sort of thing, I'm happy with that. If we go like finding the child, aka Baby Yoda, a Jedi Master who isn't Luke Skywalker, by some like miracle person who survived the Order 66, I'm okay with that. Let's just focus on that, please. Let's not do this other thing.
Yeah, agreed.
So yeah. Anyway, so yes, that. Thank you all for listening.
I think it's Umar's trying to say we're out of time.
Yes.
Okay. Cool. Well, likewise, thank you guys for listening. This has been another edition of the Geeky Bros podcast. I'm your boy Tactix.
This is Darcy looking at the camera.
And this is Big Geek Umar. Live long and prosper, y'all. Like and subscribe, please.